joining us on this. Like I told you earlier, we've been following you since the beginning. You have so much behind the scenes work that
Appreciate
you've
that.
done too, so we want to touch on all of that.
Okay, let's do it. I
Let's do
appreciate
it.
you guys. Y'all, I mean, just for me and me personally, and I know just for the genre of music, y'all always been supportive. We
Yeah,
appreciate that. Yeah.
absolutely. But just want to get started here. Of course, a lot of people know, a lot of people might not know. You were mentored by the great Teddy Pendergrass.
Yes. Yes.
Talk about
Yes.
that.
Yes. Okay. I give you the short. I mean, he basically a friend of my mom, had me sing for him, and he took me under his wing like when I was a young boy, and taught me everything, just the, recording etiquette, performance etiquette, how to
Mm,
select songs. This is before I even became a songwriter. And some of my early material I tried on him. So like I
mm,
would bring it to the studio like when I first started or whatever. But pretty much, he was my mentor, my manager up until the time I went to college. So, I learned a lot about everything, about the business and about, just everything, man. I still can hear him in my head when I do things, like if I'm vocal producing or if I'm singing myself. Like, just a great man, great legend. You know what I mean?
yep. Legendary indeed. So then we fast forward a little bit, your debut album, Lovin' the First. Now I'll tell you right away, Latif, like this album, I remember it came out when I was like 13 or 14 years old. This was one of those albums, one of my first like favorite albums. I checked that out from top to bottom, man. It was such a cohesive project. What do you remember about making that album?
What do I remember? I remember everything, and it's crazy because it's like it was yesterday. Ryan Leslie and myself, like I met Ryan probably I would say like my second year in school, and we were both in Boston, and we started collaborating almost instantly, and we just, you got that chemistry with people, and we had that chemistry, and we started writing songs with the understanding. Like at first, I was like, okay, we're just writing these songs, trying to be like a Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis type of situation. But we decided like me taking a record deal and us, a lot of songs that we were writing ended up being my demo.
Mm,
So, the process was just, we were up in Roxbury at the crib. So that's Heavenly came out of there. I mean, we re-recorded a lot of stuff. Rain Will Go Away came out of there. And these are the songs that
right.
got me my deal. And then once we moved to Chicago, the label had us go to Chicago and record. Then we did the rest of the record. With the exception of
Mm,
all of like, the Adonis songs, the Sean Garrett, Teddy Bishop songs, like those songs came way, way, way later. So, but Ryan and I, we
right.
did It's All Right. So when I speak of It's All Right was a hook that I came up with when I had to be like 13 years old. If you're thinking that
Right.
everything's fine, I'm gonna let you know, baby. Right, that song. I mean, I brought it to Teddy one, Uncle Teddy. He was like, "What is that?" Like, because at the time, like my demo at that time was done by like James Poyser. James Poyser, he's a part
Mhm.
of the Roots now, but like him and
Yeah.
Victor Duplay, these are like legendary Philly cats.
Yeah.
The material that I had. So from the jump, I always had like the best material ever, and um the characters, like everybody, the characters was Troy Taylor
Yeah.
and Charles Farrar. So they were submitting songs. So I was getting a lot of songs. I don't think Sweet Lady was one of those songs, but I know it was one of those songs that was on Tyrese's album, was like one of the
Okay.
first songs that I really wanted to cut. But Love in the First, yeah, Ryan and I, we did the meat of that project in Chicago, and it was an experience.
Yeah, I mean it's such a crazy thing watching you and Ryan from when you guys first started. That was like he was young, you guys are young, and a record I still listen to this day. It's just one of those records that I can just play. Is the last song on the album. I don't blame you. It just works. I don't know how, but it just works.
Look, you just picture this. Like we would be in Roxbury. That record, I just remember performing it in our living room. Like when
Right.
I wrote that song, I had it all pictured in my head. Like, you whisper into a girl's ear, like, and make her go crazy. Cause that song, um, you like these songs are real. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're performance records rather. So I I don't blame you was really, 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 really near and dear to my heart. It still is. Biz,
Yeah.
I see you. What's up? Mommy, my mom is on here. Wow, that's crazy. Nah, yeah, man. Like I just I don't blame you. That was a we call it a 320 Warren Street we used to live in. It's like a
Mhm.
brownstone, and we set up in the living room, and we wrote that. Well, I wrote that song. He produced it,
Yeah.
and because that's I'm telling you, man. Like it was our chemistry. It was like it was magical, man. Like
Yeah.
and we used to like have like competitions how fast we could make a song. Because
Yeah.
Ryan, he's a writer too. So he had
Yeah.
how I got became a fan of his was around the Boston area. His demo was circulating, and a friend of mine, Josh from school, he played me his demo. Was like, "Yo, what do you think of this?" And I was like, "It's jamming." So when we got together, it just was like magic,
Nice.
magic.
And
I
then
don't
another
blame you.
record, of course, another record, Sean Garrett commented on our post yesterday. You guys did the song "I Don't Want to Hurt You," and I feel like that album, like even the content on the album, the subject matter. You were a young artist at the time, but your music wasn't necessarily kiddie. It was still mature for that time. I think a lot of people around your age could relate to that music. It was never kiddie. Was that intentional on your part?
Yeah, like if you notice, like even like the Jackson 5 records, they're grown records. My tone
Yeah.
was, my voice has matured so much, and like
Yeah.
and now it's way more. I can emote way better than I could even on that
Mhm.
record because like some of them ad libs, you gotta think. Teddy Pendergrass, if you think of his songs and you hear his ad libs, they're manly, right? So it's like
Yeah.
for me, um like I always wanted to make a song that anybody could relate to, whether
Right.
it's a kid or like an adult. But what I noticed about like the great songs and the great artists before me were like the Jackson 5, they didn't make kiddie records. They were real
Mhm.
songs. Like
Yeah.
so, and we were like I was like 19, 20 years old. So it's like you think you grown, even
Yeah.
if you know what I'm saying? So, we both he was with a girl from Boston, I was with a girl from Philly, and
Right.
it was just like, man, you couldn't tell us that, it wasn't, we wasn't married and had like, it was so much energy. And then the
Yeah.
music at the time, it was like, people were coming out with so many different like styles and stuff. It was so fresh. Like,
Yeah.
we would hear what Pharrell and Chad was doing, and we would go and study that, and go to the studio, hear what Timberland was doing with Aaliyah or something, and we would just like, it was crazy, man.
Yeah.
It was a crazy. Each song on that album has a whole story to it, like legit.
That's crazy.
Appreciate that. Oh wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
But
mean, yeah, that's crazy. Someone in the comment wrote that that album should have gone platinum, and I feel like that album is underappreciated just because it didn't do the numbers that maybe one would have expected. But I mean, take me through your journey after that. So you drop your first album, and I know eventually you got into songwriting, but just take me through that process. Like, were you still looking to make a second album at that time? Like, take me
all
through
right,
your timeline.
all right. So this, I always try to drop some jewelry like in these interviews and stuff
Yeah,
because I want people to have, I want to be transparent.
yeah,
I knew immediately how that album was handled, that I had to leave Motown. At
mm,
the time, my lawyer was, rest in peace, Ed Woods. This was against their advice, what for me to opt to be off the label. But
yeah,
Ryan and I, we used to work with, we were writing first, like so. Part of the reason why we moved to Chicago was for us to focus on my album, right?
mm,
So the label, and you just see it. You see like the mismanagement of like funds. You see how like, like tour support is not there and stuff like this. Like, let me just put it in perspective. I think they shipped out 40,000 of my
mm,
album. So you
right.
can't go gold. If you notice, like sometimes like an album would come out around that time and they'd be like it's shipped platinum or whatever. That's because they send out 1 million copies. So if you send out 40,000 copies, that's why it's like it's damn near a miracle for
Yeah,
my music to have reached people the way it has. And people show me love throughout the years, but I knew immediately I had to get off of Motown. And once I got off of Motown, Um, Shout out to Kedar too, because I mean, like it was like everybody there on staff, my A&Rs, everybody really was, they were genuine people. But you know, then you got to think September 11th happened, so
Hmm.
that shifted the business. But I knew that I had to go back to my grind, my initial grind. I'm a songwriter,
Right.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you have to, yeah, I know, 40,000. Hey, that's
Hmm.
crazy. I'm
Yeah.
reading the comments. Yeah, so you know what I mean? It's nothing you could do. It wasn't streaming, so it wasn't like, for the album that they didn't press up, you could compensate, or the streams or supplement that. Like it just even my debut album, I would say last year. Shouts out to my publisher. I don't know if she did it, but like she runs
Yeah.
Motown now. Um, and my album wasn't on iTunes, so and it wasn't something that you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
G, what's up? I see Ja King. So I started writing immediately. That was my, you know what I mean? I had to survive. I had to, plus I had a love for the music. So I didn't care whether or not it was me or somebody else cutting my songs. Like I just was like, look, I'm gonna, I'm gonna make it happen.
Right. Cool. So it
So,
was awesome then seeing you transition into a songwriter. You and Ryan Leslie do a record for JoJo like that. I just want to highlight that song for a second because just the melody and how that song is structured, crazy record.
mm.
Um, crazy record. Um,
Yo, listen,
so after that,
let
yeah,
me
go
tell you the
ahead.
story of that song. So
Yeah.
JoJo, Vincent Herbert. Vincent Herbert, he introduced us to JoJo when she was like, we just went to the studio one day with Barry Hankerson and JoJo was in a booth, and I couldn't believe that she was like that voice was coming out the booth. So it was like a dream of mine to write a song for her, and I wrote the song. Wow, this year, last year, woof. They talk about songs that
Right.
nobody's even really heard yet. So like JoJo, I sang the song, wrote the song, I demoed the song, and and she cut the record. But that was like a dream come true. That's one of my favorite songs that I've written. Like that, um, do me like that. It was called Like That, but then I think Sean Garrett had a song on JoJo's album that Swiss Beats produced called Like That. So at first I didn't even think that song made the album because I heard this that was a single. So I was like, damn, why would they have two songs called Like That? Because that was the name of my song. And so once that song was on there, I was like, so when I didn't know that the song had made the album until the actual song had came out, and it was called, she changed the name of the song for me. So like if I had registered the
Mm,
song beforehand, I would have had to re-register the song after the fact. But it's all love. I love that song. She
yeah.
killed it too. My demo is out
Yeah.
there somewhere. She took my ad libs and just freaked everything. So
Yeah. Love that song, and then just the vibe of that song. But I want to touch on some more of your writing, some hits that you wrote, massive hits here. Music Soul Child, Teach Me, Faith Evans, Gone Already. I feel like your chemistry with Carvin and Ivan, amazing.
yeah, shout out Carvin and Ivan, and it's so many other people that was in that camp that deserve recognition too. You got Johnny Smurf, you had Crystal Oliver, Tight Rider, you had the Lab Rats. It was such a great vibe at the studio because I didn't even meet music until the Grammys actually. So,
Mm,
we went in and did like 6 records, just with him in mind. And I was such a huge fan of music because when his first album came out, I was actually in school in Boston. So
wow.
you can't imagine like the pride that I had for being from Philly, and but I just at the same time I was missing out. So I felt like of like that scene. So once I got back to Philly, I used to always see Carvin in a train station, like me going to New York or him, like we would always see each other in passing, and we were like, "Wait, let's work together." So
Yeah.
then I think we really linked up once. We found out we were both signed to the same publisher, and then once I came back to when I went to Philly, we just locked in and made it happen. But it was the records that "Leaf in the Wind" was one of those songs that we did for him.
Yeah.
Obviously, Deserve You More made it, but like it was so many records. I would say like in a week we did a whole album like straight up. You know what I mean?
Crazy. And then I saw in the comments someone talked about this song. I feel like this is probably a highlight too that we need to mention. Chris Brown's Damage.
Oh wow.
That
So
song, crazy.
so look, I did that song with the Runners produced that song. So I went to Orlando.
Yeah.
True story. So the Runners is Drew and Maine, right? So Maine was like we were always like talk to each other via like what was it? I don't know, MySpace or whatever. And so when I finally went to Atlanta, it was me and I was in one room and Jasper Cameron was in another room. You know,
Mm,
Jasper wrote Promise. Y'all need to interview him too.
yeah.
Um, he wrote Promise. He wrote a bunch of Lloyd records, like them smashes.
Yeah.
So what I did was like Maine. I did like two other songs like before that.
Hmm.
So Maine gave me the track. I was like, give me something that you love. So he gave me the Damage track. And at the time, it was a bunch of dudes in the studio. So I was like, oh man, like the pressure was on.
Yeah.
So no lie, no lie. I was at the computer just thinking of like, okay, cool, maybe I'll do this concept, maybe I'll do this concept. I fell asleep. Boom. I went to sleep. I woke up. The room was closed. Like had left the room, right? So I was like, damn. But I had the song, the whole song written. It was done. So all I had to do was lay it. I was ready. So it's like the song came to me in my sleep. So then after I laid it, Jasper was like, that song is for Chris Brown. And
Wow.
he talked real passion. He be like, that's that love music right there. So I was like, okay, really? So I remember I had at the time Chris Brown's manager, Tina Davis, her brother. I had a link to him, so I sent him the song, and I didn't hear anything back. So then, I just stayed on my grind. You never know like where a song is gonna land. All my homies in Philly was like, this is crazy. This record is crazy. Shout out to Riz and Biz, and I just, you just put it to the side. Somebody will pick it up later on or whatever. So I'm in Atlanta. I did a writing trip in Atlanta. I'm walking through the
Mhm.
through the airport and my phone goes off and it's DJ Khaled on the phone. So DJ Khaled,
Yeah.
I never talked to DJ Khaled in my life. And I'm like, who is this? Who the hell is this? So he's like, it's DJ Khaled. He's like, yo, he's like, Latif. I was like, what? He was like, yo, man, congratulations. I was like, really? Like, for what? So he's like, that record is a smash. He's like, by the time he was like, we're about to work your flight out or whatever like that. So by the time I got to Philly from Atlanta, they had booked my flight. So I went out to LA and cut the record on Chris. Chris was actually hoarse. His voice was hoarse when we got to the studio, but his voice just came to life. Like he had some tea
Wow.
and it came to life. Honestly, Chris Brown is like people. I hear people talk about Michael Jackson and how it felt to be around them, like him.
Hmm.
Chris Brown is like another level. Like his aura is
Wow.
like, you know what I'm saying? He's just so inquisitive and so just naturally inclined. Like he has like an innate ability just to do what he does, man. So that's a good one. But that story, yeah, that was King King. Wow, yeah,
That's
the whole
dope.
Philly is over
So,
there.
that's dope. So fast forward a little bit here, and I'm going to tell you a story here. I was in
Talk to me.
Japan. This was around 2013. I was at a record store, and I'm flipping through, back when people used to buy CDs. I'm flipping through the names. I think I get to like the letter L, and I see Latif, and I'm like, oh, they have his debut album in there. But it's not even your debut, it's some of your later work in Japan. And, for a lot of people listening to this, they might have only known your debut album, but for me to see your other albums in Japan, like how did that all happen?
All right, so now, like, I mean, people talk about R&B being dead, right?
Yeah,
R&B is not. It wasn't dead per se, but I would say like, I'm not the type of person to force songs on people or force. At the time, I was writing so many songs. I would say like 70 to 100 songs a year, placing like
yeah,
three. You know what I mean? And it wasn't because the songs weren't good. It was just like it wasn't that many artists. You know what I mean? Or like people who actually wanted to, saw the vision for these songs. Like these songs are like a part of our lives. So when I started getting a call to do Japanese projects
mm,
around I would say like 2009, 2010. And I was like, every time I would get an email, I'd be like, nope, no, I'm not interested, right? Because the songs that they were asking me, could I license? And at the time, licensing was it wasn't even a thing. Like now, it's like you could license songs anywhere, Um, and plus I was under like I'm published, so it's like I can't do anything illegal or anything off the grid, So licensing a project just specifically for like a territory like Japan. So they wouldn't promise me these. I went in with Stargate and I did about 4 records. I did 3 records in one day. I did Promise Me, I did Don't Wanna Be, and another song that I can't even remember. I think All That I Wanted, All That I Never Wanted.
Yeah.
So somehow these records leaked, and it used to be a crazy issue with leaking records. So they kept coming to me about these records that I never officially released. Like I never, like Promise Me
Right.
was for an artist. Like Promise Me was for like Mario or somebody that I had in mind for it. And once they were like, look, the next email was one of those emails was like, we got permission from Tim and Danny, and I knew Tim and Danny was the management for Stargate. So I was like, really? Word? So, and shout out to Roderick Kerr. He used to manage Little Eddie and he used to manage UNES. I don't know if you're familiar with those artists,
Yep.
but
Yep.
so he and I, we had a relationship and he was like the liaison between me and the Japanese label. So I was like, okay. And I literally took like, aside from the records that I would have, like, stockpiled or whatever, I would take like a month, no more than a month just to cut the records at my crib. And those were the songs. Like, so I did 4 of those Japanese projects. Like, so altogether, some people think I only had like one, just the Love in the First, but I
Yep.
really had 5 plus a
Yeah.
couple EPs and mixtapes with just way more records than, yeah.
Yeah. Well, kind of explain how, do you feel like it was your relationship with Ryan Leslie that got you noticed in Japan? Like, what do you think attracted the
No.
Japanese fans to your music?
No, see, okay, so Ryan Leslie and I, the only like, okay, the Japanese market came to me because of the songs that I did with Stargate. Because
Mm,
that Sonic, Promise Me
right.
with the harp, because of
Yeah.
Neo So Sick. So a lot of people
Yeah.
don't even know that Ryan and I, that we work so closely together. They didn't even know that. Like,
Yeah.
but even when he had the film, the camera crews around, I was right there, but I just
Yeah.
never, I wasn't into like the cameras and stuff like that at that time.
Right.
And but I met Ryan in like 99, 2000 or something. What? No, no, no. I met Ryan, yeah, like in probably 2000, because everything kind of happened so fast with he and I, like writing songs and our trips back and forth. But so Japan, I mean, Japan was the Promise Me to Stargate stuff. Now
Right.
Germany, that was the
Right.
Ryan Leslie stuff, like that
Sure.
European stuff. That was because like the next election server was hacked, and it just was like they couldn't get enough of that stuff. So think
Right.
that was the catalyst for that. Like, and that
Mm,
was he was putting out records overseas, and like shout out, it was a guy by the name of Shiv that works with Stephen Victor right now. He was a student at Rutgers, and he was like, yo, you guys are like super huge over in Germany. And I was like, word. So like at the time, vinyl was hot, so people would sell vinyl like 20 euro for a vinyl. So this
right.
was this was off of songs that they had hacked. So they were selling it. We had no idea. So we did was rather than just take the loss completely, we were like, yo, let's go over and do some shows. So during one of the runs, I didn't even know Think You Know had leaked out over there. It played it in the club. And the club went crazy. And I was like, yo. So Ryan didn't even like Think You Know. He didn't even like it.
Mm,
Like he thought, at that time, he was only interested in songs that were like 180 million BPM. So, that was like a mid-tempo like record, and he was like it wasn't fast enough. So I was like, huh? You know what I mean? So so Think You Know. A lot of people think he produced that too. Cadis and Sean produced that record. And
mm.
Ryan had put the rap verse on it way later after he saw everybody liked it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So, we're just about finished here, but obviously you got to touch on the current stuff that you have going on. You have a new duo,
LoBoii.
that you're involved with, and the vibe on that music. I heard one of the records is crazy. So talk about that and also what you have coming up.
I mean, the focus is LoBoii. I mean, that's me and my partner, Aaron, alias Klein Stub. He's written, he's worked with, Rihanna, Eminem, DJ Snake. So he and I, we started writing records for other people in around 2012. With other, with Frequency. Frequency actually introduced us, and our chemistry is incredible. So, I mean, that's the new wave. Like, especially like this pandemic, you got to prioritize. This is the first time like that I actually took time to focus on a project that was, we were going to release. It's like
Right.
LoBoii is, and our next project is stupid. Like I'm not even gonna hold you. Like it's stupid. Like, and it's done. Yes, indeedy. Philly in the building. Yeah, man. It's honestly, I think. I mean, I see a lot of people talk heavy and stuff about R&B music, but you can't. You gotta create some new stuff. You gotta create some new sonics. You gotta take some risk. You know what I mean? Like music, and like when I think of music and I think of risk takers, I think of like the artists from before. You know what I mean? Like the Funkadelics, and that was funk. But you got like all of the writers like Kenny Gamble's and Dexter Wanzel's and the Tom Bells and the Linda Creeds and you know what I'm saying? Like all of these people, we have to push it. So you ain't gonna push it with no trap drums and stuff like that. That's not
Right.
You gotta evolve it. You have to evolve it. So I just, I just want everybody just to be tuned in, because like this next project is really gonna push it. And it's crazy. LoBoii. That's
Love it. Let's see.
LoBoii, and it's at LoBoii Music on all the platforms. We need it. Ty, what's good, King? Wow.
Hey, Latif, man, I appreciate you for taking the time up for this. We got to do this again. I know you have so much history, and we got to talk about more. But I've got Makiba coming up here, so I had to cut this short. But we'll do this again
I
soon.
went to college. I went to college with Makiba, so I know Makiba very
Wow.
well. Tell her shout out.
Absolutely. But we got to do this again.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime, man. Like I said, y'all always been supportive, man. And it's like,
Yeah.
but it's really important. It's really important though, that that we push the genre forward, bro. It's really important,
Yeah.
man. Like, and that's what needs to happen. But we gotta take risks, man. Go and holler at her, and I see y'all
Yeah.
on the flip side.
Absolutely, man. So just keep doing your thing. Keep us posted, and we'll
Thank you,
definitely
brother.
support.
I appreciate that.
All right, man. You take care.
You too, King.